Hi, everybody. I'm Jeremiah Reiner, and thank you again for joining us for a brand new episode of Deeply Rooted.
Deeply rooted in God's Word. Deeply rooted in God's Word.
All right, hello, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of Deeply Rooted. We appreciate you guys and all your support in our podcast endeavors. Again, if you'd like to reach out to us anytime at our Facebook, we'd be glad to hear from you. Any questions that you may have, we'd love to answer them. That's, again, on our Facebook page. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. It is Thanksgiving season, and so one of the themes about that is gratitude, and I'm very grateful for the lady sitting here with me today. Mother, grandmother, Sunday school teacher, treasurer, and can do your taxes in the springtime as well. She's a Renaissance woman. We're glad to have Elizabeth Shelton here with us today. I'm going to call you Betsy about this interview, so if that's okay. But church history, where did you start out in that?
My parents did not take us to church. We lived like 2 houses down from the Methodist church. So we got up on Sunday morning and walked to church and back. Nobody took us to church. We were encouraged to go, but we weren't taken to church.
What denomination was that you grew up in?
The United Methodist Church. Right.
Now, any family members heavily involved in the church itself?
No, just us kids.
Right.
We would go, right.
Now, you mentioned, I've heard previously, and I've also read a little bit about your testimony, talking about gospel presentation early on, that you felt like it maybe wasn't presented as clearly as it could have been.
Never did I hear growing up, you must be born again. Never did I hear that. My parents had me christened when I was a baby. And then when I was 12, they encouraged me to join the church. And my mother tried to talk me out of it. She told me, she said, you'll grow up and think you're okay when you're not. She knew that much. And of course, I did. And thought that was, I joined the church. I went to Sunday school. If you had perfect attendance, you got a pen. And I got my pen, and then every year you got another one that clipped to it. And I had a whole string. I was so proud of those pens for all that perfect attendance. Then when I got older, I taught Sunday school for a while there. And I went there till I married my husband and moved to this area. So.
Now, during that time when you were growing up in the church, did you ever feel convinced that everything was okay between you and the Lord?
I did. I really did. I did exactly what everybody else that I knew did. I went and I had my pens. My goodness, you taught Sunday school. I did. I really believed that everything was well with me and the Lord. I did.
Do you look on that, I guess looking back on it, negatively? Were you angry at people maybe that...
No, not angry. I just think maybe if I'd been in a different denomination or a different church, I might have been taught differently and learned it was more than just joining the church to make you right with the Lord. But that was all I knew.
Now, you mentioned you had a chance to meet a very impressive human being later, tall, good-looking, in a military uniform, I believe, right?
Yes,
Roger,
right,
where did you guys meet?
Actually, I was going home from church one Sunday night, and on a street corner, somebody I knew introduced us, and that's where we met. And then we just started dating that summer, and I dated him my whole senior year in school. And then when he got out of the service, he came here, got a job, and came back after me, and we got married.
What branch of the military was he
Army.
in?
He was in the Army.
Did he serve in any combat?
He did not. He just barely missed Vietnam. When they sent his group over, he only had 6 months left, so he did not have to go. But
what were his thoughts on Christianity?
None. I claimed to be a Christian and could cuss as big as anybody, and he would get on me. And he knew, because his mother raised him right. He knew, that was not the way a Christian talked. That's not the way a Christian act.
Right.
And he never claimed to be a Christian at all. And when it was important to me to go to church, he couldn't understand that, why I could be one way at home and still wanted to go to church.
Did that throw a wrench in your all's marriage?
Not too bad, no. He worked a lot of shift work, and when he wasn't, home on Sunday, I'd go. But not really, no. But he'd tell me all the time, you're not a Christian, you're not, and that maybe, yes.
Now, one of those, I guess, the Lord chasing after people kind of stories, his brother gave his life to the Lord, Hagin, is that correct?
He did, and there's a story behind that, Jeremiah. Your grandfather, Beaver Davidson, had a job, and he worked with a young man named Skip Cole, whose mother had come to this area. She was a young widow and had a house full of kids, and she came to this area. And her son Skip worked with Beaver. And in the meantime, my brother-in-law Hagin marries his sister Karen. So Beaver won Skip to the Lord, and Skip won Hagin to the Lord, and then Hagin won me to the Lord. When Hagin got saved, he would not rest till he talked to everyone in his family about the Lord, which is the way I think everyone should be.
Right. Absolutely.
It should be our heart to win our families.
So he came to your all's house and personally witnessed to Roger, is that right?
Yes, he came on a Sunday night. Roger was on 311s, and when he was here, when Roger came in from work and they talked probably an hour or two, and Roger prayed right here in this kitchen and got saved. And Hagin talked to me a little bit. He said, now I know you claim to be a Christian, but Roger needs to be baptized. And I said, that's right, I've never been baptized, and I want to be baptized with my husband. So the next Sunday, we went to the river together and got baptized. Well, the next morning on Monday, I woke up, and I was 21 years old, but I knew that morning I was going to die and go to hell. I didn't want to tell him. I sent him on to work, and I didn't even turn the light on because I was crying. But I got on the phone and called Hagin and told him. Well, they didn't have a telephone. I called a neighbor and said it's an emergency. So Karen comes running over there, and I'm crying. I said, Karen, I'm dying. I'm lost, and I'm going to go to hell. And they came over then that day and prayed with me. So the very next Sunday, I went right back to the river and got baptized again. The preacher said, I think I baptized you last week under repentance, didn't I?
Did you think any time while Hagin was talking to Roger that was beginning to sink in?
Yes, I do. Yes.
So you would say that was probably one of the first times you heard the actual gospel probably explained.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now you all star-crossed lovers after that,
yes.
and well on your way, and a great story there about two people coming to faith together. Raising godly children, what was that like in a house where two people, I guess, grew up somewhat misunderstanding the Bible?
Right. And I didn't want my children raised that way. I wanted to be sure, and I loved teaching them, and I loved taking them to church and them being taught, and I wanted them to grow up with a love for the Word and to know that there had to be a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Now, I've always known you as just a go-getter when it comes to godly service. Where did you get involved, I guess in the beginning, Sunday school or maybe actual offices held in the church?
Sunday school. I had just been saved maybe a year and a half, and they were looking for a Sunday school teacher in the church, and I ended up teaching kids 9 to 12 years old and loved it. It was years, I guess, before I would really say teaching is my gift. But I believe we all have a gift for the Lord.
Absolutely.
But that's the one that is my gift. But I taught that age, and then I've taught older, but yeah, that was the first thing.
Well, I would agree that is your gift because I'm a product of it. How long have you been teaching Sunday school now?
I've been born again for 49 years. So I've probably been teaching Sunday school about 48 years. And
you've been involved in almost every church program I can think of, from Sunday school all the way up to Christmas plays and all those things. How much do you enjoy doing those things?
I love it, and I love it. I got bitterness in my heart one time, and I told the Lord I'd never teach again. And it was just like when the Bible said, Jeremiah said it was burned in my soul. I had to.
Right.
I couldn't say I'm not going to. It's your gift, old girl, and you're going to do it. It wasn't long, and the Lord really set me down and said, it's your gift. You're going to use it. And so, but I love serving the Lord. And of course, you never feel like in your life you've ever done enough, But I do. I love anything I can do to help or be a service to anyone.
What's that like, seeing former students and your own kids now serving Jesus?
It is amazing. My Sunday school class now, most everyone in that class I taught their parents. And that, of course, that makes me really old. Of course, my own pastor, I was his Sunday school teacher at one time, so that makes me really, really old. But it's amazing to watch people. You know yourself, when you deal with people in the Lord, they get in your heart whether you want them there or not. And they're there and then you see them grow and do something for the Lord. It is just amazing to watch. It is.
Well, I can vouch for it, because even after all these years, even in ministry myself, coming up on almost 10 of them now, there are times I think back still when I thumb through the Bible or looking at certain verses. I'll go back to our Sunday school lessons.
Right.
And so your fruit is definitely there, and I commend you for that. So again, in Thanksgiving season, we'd be grateful for you. Absolutely. So,
Well, thank you.
transitioning out of that a little bit, back I guess into more of your personal life, I would have to say Roger Shelton is one of the better people I've ever known. And I mean that, and I'm not saying that because I'm sitting here. But the Lord called him home a few years ago.
Yes.
And I believe that's exactly where he's at.
I do too.
Because of his great fruit.
Yeah.
And I believe his testimony for Christ stands the test of time. What was that like, going through a loss like that?
Right. It's lonesome, and it's still lonesome sometimes, and you miss him. Was the hardest things to do was to get in the car and go to church. I know that sounds weird, but he did things like he liked to hunt and go down the country and play rook, and I did other things, but the church part of our life was always together. We got in the car together, we drove to church together and talked, and that's where we talked about things and all, and we had our fellowship there. That was the things we did together, and that was one of the hardest things, was to get in the car and to go to church by myself. I will say one thing. We were at a church in Clinchport when Roger got sick, and after a while it was too hard. He kept having strokes, to get him in and out of the car and take him in, and he wanted to go to church. He sat me down on the couch one day and said, "Could we pray?" And he said, "Lord, please make Betsy take me to church tonight." And we just couldn't maneuver it, and he wanted to go so bad. So I told him, I said, "When we move to our new church, we'll be right on the road and I'll get you in." And he passed away on Monday morning before we had our first service there the next Sunday. So he never got to go. And I hated that, but in a way, I don't look up there and see him there either. That church, he was not there.
Right.
So that's made it easier. And there are lonely times, a lot of times, and you just have to trust the Lord. I get in the car sometimes and make him sit in the seat beside me, and I talk to him all the way wherever I'm going and tell him what's going on and what he should do, and, things like that. But, but the Lord is amazing. It's amazing. His grace, you always wonder, will it be there? I don't have dying grace. People would say that to me, and I thought, you're not going to need dying grace till it's time to die. But
Right.
When the thing comes, the grace, amazing grace, is right there. So amazing, it's unreal.
What did you learn from the Lord during that season?
I learned to trust him more. I learned that, and of course you always, and the first thing I told my children when we all gathered together after he passed, I said, we're not going to start with, I wish I'd done, I wish I had, because I said, Mama will climb right on that train, and I can't spend the rest of my life doing that. But you do think of things, how much we loved each other. I wish I had a little bit, but not to make my life so miserable. I have to live, but I do have something to live for, that I know I'll see him again.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh my goodness. Well, I hope my children will know that I love them and that I love the Lord. I would like to feel I had a little bit of patience sometimes when maybe I didn't. I thought about probably 35 years ago, I had 3 teenagers, and I asked the Lord. I wasn't sure any of them were saved, and I opened up to the Word, and it said, great shall be the peace of thy children, and all thy children shall be taught of the Lord. Okay, 35 years later, I'm still waiting for part of that promise, still waiting on it. But I want to be able to wait for the Lord. But I hope, that my children will not walk by my casket and wonder if their mother made it to heaven or not.
There's a generation of people out there that would follow behind you, young women that aren't believers. What do you say to them?
To put the Lord first in your life, and when you get ready to marry in the Lord. Love somebody that loves the Lord. If you love, that's what I always prayed about my children. I knew if they loved the Lord and their mate loved them and the Lord, that no matter what, if they didn't have money, whatever came their way, they could make it if they had the Lord and they loved each other.
Absolutely. Well, that's well said. And in closing, I appreciate you being a part of the podcast today. I began to think about different people that I wanted to interview, and you were one of the first ones that came to my mind, just because of your testimony and your faithfulness and what you've done, not just in my life, but other people's lives, and I wanted to get that recorded, and I appreciate you being on here today. So even in the middle of Thanksgiving, I would say thank you for all that you've done, not just for me, but my family and what you've meant to us. You're a treasure. I mean
thank
that
you. Well,
from the bottom of my heart. I mean that.
Your family's wonderful.
Well, thank you so
They
much.
are.
All right, until next time, we're going to come back with a few announcements here shortly. But again, thank you so much for listening. And again, please be a part of our podcast audience there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also follow us there on our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you, answer any questions that you may have. And until next time, God bless and hope you have a fantastic week. Hey everybody, Jeremiah back with you again to wrap up today's program. We appreciate you tuning in and listening to our latest podcast. Again, we appreciate Sister Betsy Shelton for all the work that she's put in so many years serving Jesus Christ and so much in my own personal life, and I want to thank her for that. And on that note, it is Thanksgiving season, and we want to remind you to enjoy your holiday season, and please don't forget the Scripture reminds us that our life is like a vapor. It is here today and gone tomorrow, and this is certainly not dress rehearsal. We get one life, and it is a blessing of the Lord and a gift from Him. And so we need to take advantage of every moment that we have. I hope you spend time with family and friends. I hope you are grateful for the things that God has done in your life. I hope you remind Him through praise and prayer that it is by His grace that you are where you are and I am where I am. And so we're thankful for Him in this holiday season, and we want to remind you to make sure you make the most of it with the people that matter most to you. Now, looking at the schedule coming up in the next couple of months, I do want to invite you to something. If you're in the Big Stone Gap area, Southwest Virginia area, we're going to be participating in revival services at Cedar Ridge Baptist Church. That's located in the Big Stone Gap area. Brother James Holcomb is the pastor there. He and his wife Mona, great friends over the years, and privileged to serve with them in their sanctuary and their people there. We're going to be participating in the last week of November. Services will kick off that Sunday night on November 25th. That will start at 6 o'clock. Each night afterwards, Monday through, and we're hoping the rest of the week, that will start at 7 p.m. I have the privilege of speaking and preaching on the Tuesday night, the 27th. Again, that's 7 p.m. There'll be special singing each night and special preaching each night as well. Looking forward to being with some really good friends of the ministry there throughout that week. So if you get a chance, be with us in service again, 6 o'clock on the 25th, that Sunday night, 7 o'clock throughout the rest of the week, Cedar Ridge Baptist Church. December 2nd, the week following that, good Lord willing, we're going to be at Nash's Chapel. That is in Wise, Virginia. That service will start at 11 a.m. that morning, so if you're in the area, please do what you can to be with us. And also on December 16th, We'll be at Crossway Baptist Church again, 11 a.m. with all of our good friends and family down there in the Gate City area. So if you are in the area there, we'd love to see you come out. We'd love to worship with you, spend some good time in fellowship. And we want to thank all the churches that give us the invitation and the open door to preach Jesus Christ in fullness and in truth, just as He intended. So until next time, we appreciate all you do for us here and the support and the prayers. Please keep them up. We need them and we desire them. So until the next time we see you again and hear from you, good day and God bless you, and hope you have a great week.